every week. Hello and greetings. Today is the 15th of October and I am Rich Julie Nelson, astrologer, aromatherapist, perfumer, artist, and I'm here today with my gorgeous astro sister Tanya Wasylewski, and we are going to talk about this solar eclipse that has just passed with the new moon in Libra, which happened earlier this morning for us in the Southern Hemisphere. And we want to have a bit of fun as well. So I'm just going to hand it over to Tanya to give you a little introduction of herself. In the notes, we'll put our contact details and how you connect in with us, etc., etc. And yeah, just share about your beautiful self for a minute, Tanya.
Sure. I'm Tanya Wasylewski and my business is called Innerastrology. So I am an astrologer. Julie and I met studying together many years ago now. I'm also a holistic counsellor and an EFT practitioner.
Oh, yes. And we have done an EFT session on my podcast that will be coming out soon, that particular session. And I was thinking it would be fun to do one on YouTube as well, where people can actually see.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because on the podcast, you've got to kind of listen in and you had to focus on tap here, tap there, bloop, bloop, bloop. And
great visual medium podcasts.
Yes, I think we'll do those future ones on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get stuck into it. We are still in beautiful Libra season here. And of course, it's my favorite time of the month because it's my birthday month. And let's start with the solar plexus. The solar eclipse and the new moon. And I know you've got the chart pulled up, so perhaps I'll give you permission I've made you co-host, so you can share your screen. And
yeah, so just while I'm bringing that up, I'll just say that for people who don't know basically what an eclipse is, it's when the sun and the moon, or sun or the moon, are close to what's known as the nodes of the moon. And so that's what gives this eclipse energy, and it's kind of like a new moon or a full moon on steroids. It's a basic version.
It is. And when we look at the different qualities of each of these planets and star sign and points, it is, for me, I think of the solar eclipse as really boosting our life force, and our sun sign, and I'm a Libra, so it's been really actually quite beautiful for me. I've had a powerhouse of a week leading up to this, with 2 art exhibitions, being in an online harmony fest, doing talks and webinars and readings. And what else have I had? I had an amazing lunch in Sydney Parliament House with our local MP Trish Doyle and Rose Jackson, the Minister of Homelessness and mental health and water, and can't remember what else, but it was really powerful. And gosh, they're powerhouse women and beautiful women, and they're really fighting for us. They really are, with these current situations that we really are dealing with globally. But of course, they're New South Wales and I think Queensland. So I'm pretty stoked. It was really powerful and inspiring and enlightening. So that's where I feel my energy was coming from, building up to this new moon. And even the conversations were about releasing and letting go, which is what we always want to do before a new moon comes in.
Yeah, and I think that's really great to say as well, because I think there's this idea out there in the world that eclipses bring bad things. Or, you know, astrology is always bringing bad things and this and that and the other. But it's like, yes, you get this fresh energy and you get this impetus for change and new beginning.
Yes.
With it. Yeah, yeah.
And you and I love to talk about that, don't we? Because it's always the myths around retrograde, and it's like, oh no, watch out for Mercury retrograde. And I always think of, like, if shit comes up, so to speak, then this is a great opportunity for us to move through it, to grow, to learn from, to reflect with retrogrades. And yeah, I think it's very powerful. It doesn't all have to be bad, and it depends on our mindset as well. Because if challenges do come up, I like to look at challenges as opportunities for growth. And actually, it was interesting because I was at a gathering yesterday, and there was a guest speaker who spoke about the eclipse, and he was saying, watch out, you know, it's going to be big and it may knock you off your socks and things like that. And that's his way of speaking, and I honor and respect that. But I'm thinking, nah, let's just ride the wave with it and have some fun and tap into the power and the energy of it and make it work for us.
Yeah, because astrology doesn't compel us to do anything. It doesn't force you to do anything.
No, it doesn't.
It gives you that push and that internal drive. If you are willing to make the changes and you're willing to go with it and direct the energy and work with it, rather than have things forced upon you, you know, when you really need to change, the universe will come up and be like, boom, yes, you really have to change, and throw things at you. But if you're working with it and you're conscious of it, then it's not as scary or as dramatic, or yeah, it's not as debilitating when you get that. But
absolutely. So what have we got here, Tanya?
Well, for people who haven't seen what an astrology chart looks like before, this is just from astro.com, astro DS,
I'd say.
And so you can look at charts for free on here. If you're wanting to, you know, check out your own birth chart, you can go and pull it up there. And there's some great astrology articles and things on here too. But on the outside, here we've got all the signs of the zodiac, and then it's divided up into 12 houses, and then all the planets are there in the middle. So Julie and I can take you through your own chart separately or together. we can do it readings before for people, which is fun. If you get to know your chart a little bit more. And I used Melbourne as the location because
that's where we are in that
time zone,
daylight savings time here in Australia, so it's good.
Yeah, so it gave the ascendant for that as Virgo, with Venus right there on the ascendant.
Nice.
And Venus is the ruler of Libra. You know, there's this extra double whammy energy there too.
Yes.
And you can see you've got the sun and the moon together. Mercury, the planet of communication, is very, very close to this eclipse. And I also put in, there's a couple of asteroid goddesses, and I wanted to play with Pallas and to see where she was, because Pallas is just that whole vibe of, I guess, higher thinking and diplomacy and everything else. And so with the referendum that we've just had here in Australia, I was really curious to see where Pallas was sitting. And
Eris.
And then I put Eris in because Eris in the mythology is a shit stirrer. So
I love Eris
I wanted to see where Eris was. And you know, she's opposite the eclipse here with a conjunct the north node where we're heading. So it's just like it's just like, okay, so we've got all this thinking balance, Venusian diplomacy sort of vibes here, especially with Mercury and Pallas. But then we've got Eris just stirring up where we're going in the future. So it was just like, what is going to happen here? And obviously there's a no result for a referendum. But I think what's going to be really interesting is where we go now and how this is responded to. And I did see that the people running the Big Yes campaign have said, we're going to go dark for a week and then we'll give our response in a week. And I thought that was really quite Libran, in that we're going to go away and sit and just, you know, process everything and then come back with a, you know, a thoughtful statement and response rather than shoot from the hip.
And I see Mercury playing in that too, because it's all about that communication and the thinking and gathering the information, and let's work through this and see what we can create. But I've got to come back to Eris because she's one of my favorite. And it's just like, I think of her as like a supercharged Lilith. She has no mercy. So that will be fun to talk about as well.
Yeah. But I do think, like, where we're going in the world with Pluto heading into Aquarius for next year for 20 years, that's going to change things. And I do see this eclipse as starting off that process of thinking and listening to people and communicating on a different way. Like, it hasn't happened this time around, but it's almost like I voted at the primary school where my nieces and nephew go, and, you know, seeing all of the yes vibes there with voting, like when that generation, you know, are hitting their 20s, how different we'll be and how people will be listening to each other, and that shift that's going to happen. And yeah, right now it didn't. It's too soon for a lot of people.
Yes. Yes, and that's what, let's say, I know for me, it's like with Pluto moving fully into Aquarius, breaking down those old systems that really are not doing us any good, and creating the new ones. And Pluto, for anybody listening, for your sake, Pluto is the planet. I know I've gone off on a tangent as I do, but we'll just bring this in. Pluto is the planet of life, death, rebirth. So it's transformation. And then Aquarius is the forward thinker, and Aquarius is natively ruled by Uranus, the activist, the revolutionist, the rebel. So when you pull all of these energies together, it's like, yes, come on, baby, break down those systems, because we need to create the new. The time for change is now. It's got to happen for us, as I personally believe, for humans to evolve, for globally, universally to evolve. We need to come up and catch up.
We really do. And I think I sent it to you the other day as well, Australia's chart, based on the 1st of January 1901. Uranus is on Australia's moon. So you've got that, and Eris, you know, is on our ascendant at the moment. So it's like we are going through this awkward growth phase. It's almost like an adolescence. It's like we're wanting to break free and do different things, but we've got all of these dinosaurs that are still around with their thoughts.
Last.
No, you can't, you have to act this way. And then we're like, no, but we want change, and we want to be different and express ourselves. And so it's going to be interesting to see how we are as a country as well.
Yes, well, my hope is with Eris that she's going to be merciless with them. Because she has no mercy. She will take you down into the underworld until you see the light and rise up, you know, in a new way. And this is the power of knowing these energies as well, because we can work with them. And as Tanya mentioned before, astrology is a map. And some people will be very conscious of the cosmic energies that are going on around us, and others won't be. Some very much care and others don't. So, and honestly, I love to share this, is that scientists many, 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 many years ago, century ago plus, we're talking about how energy becomes matter, and everything is energy. And what the cosmos is raining down over us is energy, and it becomes matter. And I find that helps people to understand what is going on around us and how we can be affected. But I also know that there are scientists out there that say there's no proof of it, but they're the ones that are saying energy is matter. So, or energy becomes matter. And I think it's really important. And again, if you don't believe in this, that's fine. That's your choice. But for those of us that really connect in with it and feel it and experience it, it's very powerful because it's a tool, it's a map. So we can therefore make decisions.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, we can make the decisions on what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and when we're going to do it. This is beautiful. So should we tap in? What do you want to tap into next? Should we talk about the new moon, or you want to keep talking about? Let's talk about the new moon.
Yeah. This is we'll dive into like the more meaning behind it, I guess, because
that's a part of it. But I guess what I was saying is, do you have anything to share just on what we were talking about, or should we dive now?
Okay. Well, just we're going back to Eris, like she's conjunct the North Node, which is the future and where we're going to. So it is this thing of that energy of like tapping into that to pull us into the future. But it's also, the future is about that balanced communication.
Yes.
When the eclipses, they're here in Libra and Aries for until next year, this is the dance between the we and the me. And it is that, yes, I'm going to say this is who I am as Aries, and go forth and do the thing and do the new thing as well. But then Libra is all about partnership and that balance and, having to compromise. But it's knowing why you are compromising as well. If that's the thing, it's like listening to that other person. And this is what we're doing, not allowing yourself to be walked all over by other people, but also not walking all over others. It's bringing that back into
absolutely. And so some key qualities for Libra, for those of you that are not as familiar: balance, harmony, justice, peace. And her Libra's natural ruler is Venus, which we mentioned just before, and she's all about love, beauty, abundance, prosperity, birthing of ideas. And they actually rule the house of relationships, the 7th house. So you can see where that coming together of the opposites and finding that balance and bringing in the peace and harmony for the world, for us. And it's up to us to help create that change. And I think where it starts is from within. And then new moon is all about beginnings, new beginnings. And I'll hand that over to Tanya in a minute. I'll talk about a bit of the witchy stuff. And but I love new moon, especially in Libra. I mean, come on, it's the best place to start. With all that beautiful energy of balancing, which sometimes you may feel out of balance. And that's the beauty. If you're not aligning with it, you know what energy's around, so that you can tap into it and embrace it and take the actions that are needed to flow into that particular energy.
And I don't know how most people are feeling out there, but I know when we were having the Scorpio Taurus eclipses, which we do have one more in Taurus in a couple of weeks to finish
and the full moon.
But because that was like water, so emotions and earth, I always felt quite heavy
Mm.
and tired around those eclipses. But with this one being in an air sign, I've had so much energy. Like, and yesterday I just suddenly had this urge to rearrange some furniture and things like that. And I just like shifted my house around slightly, but I'm looking at it now going, oh, look how good it looks. Why didn't I do this sooner? And just that new freshness coming through, which I found was really quite interesting. Like, that's how it was manifesting for me. It's like this eclipse itself, it's happening right on my ascendant, which is also square my sun in the 4th house. So I almost feel like there's this sense of, oh, I'm changing how things are around me because internally I'm different, or maybe vice versa. I'm shifting around to manifest, the inside, decluttering a little bit and things like that. But that's how I'm feeling. Whereas, the Scorpio eclipses, especially when they were on my moon, they were so emotional.
Yes. Well, Scorpio, of course, it's so deep and intense, and being that water. And I have to say, when there's strong moon placements or aspects in Earth, it always, and because I've only got one Earth in my chart, I really feel it, and I find it quite challenging. I ride with it. If I want to go to bed and sleep, that's what I'll do. Whereas I've definitely been in the energized power, and it's just been feeling so good and exciting, and it is about new things that are manifesting and creating. And I have been doing a lot of decluttering. My place is very tiny, so there's no room to move my furniture because it's too small. But when I had a bigger place, it was something that I used to love doing, to shift the energy, and I'd do it maybe once a year or once every 6 months because it just felt really good to do. So what I do in a smaller space is just move small things around and change my altars, and
I started out moving my plants, and then that turned into furniture, and then
and it's good because we're calling in that new energy, which is what new moons are all about. And it's go.
Oh, and I also gave the house a clean as well. Like, I always find cleaning around new full moons, like, it helps shift the energy as well. And so you just vacuuming up all the old dust and things like that. So, in that in itself is a bit of a cleansing ritual as well when you clean.
It's the best feeling when you're done. Sometimes I'm a bit slow to start, but when I'm in it and when I've done it, it's like, oh my God, this is good. And I just want to sit down and really embody, embrace it, because it feels so good.
That's so different. So yeah, it's that thing of, if it's simple thing, if you want to cleanse the energy in your home, dust, vacuum,
clean your house. None of us enjoy doing it so much, but it's done. It's bloody fantastic energy, and smudging, because I smudge a lot. Sometimes, depending what I'm feeling, I'll smudge daily. Other times I just wait till I feel, just whenever I feel like it. But I love smudging for shifting the energy. And again, around the new moon and full moon, it's really powerful. And so with the moon energy as well, we tapped into some keywords for Libra. But with the new moon, the moon energy, the moon represents our feelings, and Libra is an air sign, so it's about the mind. And Libra is a cardinal sign, which for me represents leadership, and the moon is the feminine. And in saying that, it's really interesting with what I've just had that experience with two, meeting in Parliament House with two very powerful women that are considered leaders in their arena. And I'm thinking, yes, we're moving into this, and it's really beautiful to see women so powerful that are not they're not bending down to the old patriarchal ways. But my God, I tell you what, they cop flack for it.
Yeah.
They fight for it. They have to fight for it, which can be very wearing, but it's really interesting. And from a magical point of view, of course, new moon is one of my favorite times to start doing excuse me, new spells, and it may be a continuation of another spell or manifestation or intention or goal or desire, whatever you want to call it, to enhance and empower and call in for ourselves. So I'm going to do a Venus. I'm going to have a bit of a conversation with Venus tonight, and I've got my candles. And because I love working with Venus, and she's quite, I think she's been, her energy in the sky has been pretty powerful for quite a long time. And for me anyway, perhaps having 5 Libra in my chart, that's including an asteroid, but I'm going to have a conversation with Venus. And, you know, so I've got my candles ready and my essential oils ready. And so new moon is a really beautiful time to start calling in what you desire. And we're starting the waxing moon phase, going up to the full moon. And so I think it's a really powerful time. Not I think, I know it is. I don't know why I say I think. It is a very powerful time to begin to conjure what you desire as the moon begins to wax into the full moon. If there is anything you want to call into your life, now is a good time. So be really clear about what it is that you want. Be clear with what you're thinking, what you're, you know, what you think, feel, speak, and do, you create. So plan things around what it is, whether it be money or, you know, perhaps now's a good time for love. You might want to enhance some romance, you know, with the Libra and Venus. Yeah, of course. And with essential oils, you can associate them to what it is that you're desiring. And also, you know, the moon's soon going to be moving into Scorpio because she moves through each sign every 2.5 days. But, you know, perhaps you want to enhance your sexual life. So you've got an opportunity there while the moon is moving and the new moon building is moving into Scorpio. But it's also about very deep, intense emotions. Any thoughts on that, Tanya?
No, you keep going.
Keep going. Okay. And yeah, so that's what I love doing. So as the moon moves through her different phases up until the full moon, this is, as I mentioned, where we bring things in and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And so when we're working magic, this is very powerful. And if you want to continue up to the full moon, if you're still, some things can come in very quickly, depending. It's all about timing, and you can work right down to the minute with planetary magic, but that takes a bit of practice. You can call on the archetypes. So let's say with Venus tonight, working with, or the goddesses or the planetary energies. I refer to them as archetypal energies. So that love, beauty, abundance, and I'm not calling in a relationship, it's the abundance and the joyfulness of it. And it's been very abundant for me lately, and I want to continue that while my art is in these exhibitions, you know, and I want to, you know, really see what comes for that because they are up for sale. So yeah, it's going to be a bit about money, having really exploring the beauty of the arts, because I'm going to the 2 exhibitions and looking at other people's art, connections in the art world. So these are the things that I'm going to be working on. So plan what you want to do, and sometimes what you need to also think about is if it doesn't happen, some of our desires can take a really long time, and it is all about timing. It is all about planetary alignment. And it's also one of the biggest things is about the belief in ourselves. And it doesn't just happen. We actually have to take the action for everything to manifest. It's not just going to, some things may fall out, you know, and you don't expect them, like my luncheon with the women in Parliament. I had no idea that was going to be landing in my lap.
But you might have been in the background, or even your subconscious, just wishing that there was someone out there who would listen to you to help with, you know, the issue, and then it comes in. So it's like you were manifesting it, but you didn't really realize it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it can be very unconscious. And of course, that's when I go, the universe knows we are the universe. It's like talk to it all of the time. And the stars, for me, really, they're like, they help to supercharge everything, the energy of the planets and the moon and what's going on with the cosmos. Because let's face it, astrology has been used since the beginning of time. It's how they grew their crops. They you know, how they worked with the seasons. And
they honored the land.
They honored the land. You know, people say, how did they do all of this? And it's like, well, they didn't have the technology that we had. So they were so much more connected to everything that surrounded them, didn't, you know?
And you might hear a sun moon called, you know, the harvest moon, or, you know, the wolf moon, or whatever. There's a whole strawberry moons, a whole bunch of different names on there, and you can look them up. But that was relating to whatever was happening in the northern hemisphere.
The northern, yes.
So that's how they were tracking the seasons, and they're like, oh, okay, so this is the time of year when this happens, and so, you know, that's how we know what it is. And Libra season was when people were harvesting their crops, so they were weighing up how good that harvest was. And
beautiful, yeah,
in that Libran energy. And for us in the southern hemisphere, it is slightly different because we're coming into spring. So the way I see it is we are balancing ourselves out after that winter, and it's
yes,
like coming back into some life and growth. And
we're also planting the seeds for the crops, which is still in a way, so it's like planning for that year to come, because this is the season of growth for us in the southern hemisphere, beginnings of the growth. We're planting the seeds for the growth of what it is to come, whether it be our crops, our life, or
and instead of, say, New Year's resolutions or intentions, this is the more powerful time to do it. Because when, you know, we get to summer solstice, which is just a few days before Christmas, that's when we're sort of meant to be getting into that peak of our energy. Not, you know, not setting our intentions then. It's where our intentions have grown to.
Yes. And then you've got, like, you know, your short term, your middle and your long term. So, and the thing is too, for the southern hemisphere, we were talking about this the other day, in Australia, we kind of shut down. I mean, everything keeps going, but it's so damn hot. And we have that, you know, where people, like, it's school holidays. A lot of people take the holidays, family holidays, and school goes back end of January. But then I find Australia doesn't really start getting going until about March, when they feel like they've got the energy to pick up again, because the heat takes so much out of people and they're recovering from that festive season and having, you know, holidays. And, you know, having holidays isn't always relaxing. People get really, really super busy, and they've got their children around them. So it's quite different here in the southern hemisphere, and that's something I love to educate our southern hemispherians on, because many of them follow the northern hemisphere wheel of the year, and it actually doesn't align with what we are living here. And so that was a really good point to bring up. Can we talk a little bit about Eris? Do you want to pop the chart up again? I love Eris because I love Lilith, and I always think there's a beautiful astrologer, Heather. What's her name? Oh gosh, I've got it on the tip of my tongue, and she refers to Eris as Xena the warrior, which is very fitting. And there's this amazing picture of Xena. You remember the TV show where she's like roaring? And when I talk about Eris, like when I've done posts, I put up that picture of Xena because she's really fierce, and I just love that energy in her, because that's where I am at my life right now, and having no mercy for the shit that is not helpful for us. It's like, let's put all our energy into the good. And I think Eris is a powerful goddess archetypal energy to tap into for that. And as I said, she's almost like Pluto, but perhaps even stronger than Pluto, where, you know, she takes you down deep, deep, deep into the underworld. So behave, people, because you might meet Eris sometime in your life if you're not being a good person, and she's going to rip you down there into the underworld until you see the light, and then she'll bring you back up transformed. That's what I'm going to say about Eris.
Well, I always think too, where Eris is in your chart, that's kind of where you're flipping tables. It's like that area in your life where every so often you're just like, nah, I'm off, and you like flip the table and off you go, and you make this big sudden change. It's like you have this temper tantrum in a way because things are just not going the way you want them to, and you hit that point.
Enough.
Enough. Yeah, and it's like, for me, she's in my 6th house of, you know, work and service and habits and things like that, and I can feel that in myself when I get stuck in a rut. Suddenly I'm just like, enough, and I'm like, boom, like fresh energy, changing it up, doing whatever, quitting that job. Like, things can happen so super quickly.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's that's how I feel here. It's just like, no, change needs to happen. This isn't right. Like,
she's in my 2nd house in Aries.
Oh yeah. Well, because she's been in Aries for a very long time, hasn't she? I can't remember. But
in my natal chart.
Yeah, she's been floating around Aries for many, many years now. So she would be in Aries in most people's.
Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes, she would be, and it's in my.
Yeah, it'd just be a different house with people. Yeah.
Yeah, and my South Node.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So it just makes so much sense to me of how I've had to be this warrior woman in my life with fighting systems and things, and it's right there. Thank goodness she's made it easy for me. And the Aries has too, because, you know, the warrior in me has been activated many times, and it's actually easy for me. It wears me out, burns me out, but I can easily step into that role, and I don't even have to be conscious of it. It just comes in, which I love, and it's very powerful. And we've still got planets in retrograde: Uranus and Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn. Do you want to have a little bit of a chat about them, Tanya?
Sure. I mean, Pluto just went direct a few days ago, so it's still like pretty solid. But which one shall we start with?
Let's go with Saturn.
Saturn?
And we'll move around.
Yeah. So, well, Saturn just entered Pisces this year, and so we've got 2.5 years of Saturn in Pisces energy, and Pisces is very like free flowing and open and loving, and some say like boundaryless as well. Like, you know, Pisces can lack boundaries sometimes because it is that very empathetic, compassionate vibe going on. And yet Saturn is a planet which is all about boundaries. And so it's like a bit of a clash of energies going on here. But this whole thing of Saturn in Pisces, it's like finding a bit of boundary in the Piscean part of our chart, and just getting a little bit of focus happening. You know, that's how I'm viewing this transit. Just to be like, we're just creating some structure here, because, you know, Pisces loves to dream. So let's turn those dreams into form by having this structure and this focus there for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, because I've got a Pisces ascendant.
Yeah.
And Pisces is the most compassionate, and boundaries, oh my goodness, it's taken me decades to get clear with boundaries. And sometimes it's still a challenge for me, because I've got that grand trine in water. And here comes Saturn, who's going to test me. And perhaps and at first it was like, oh, Jesus, this is going to be tough. But what I'm thinking is like, no, I'm going to learn. I'm going to embrace Saturn to help me get really stronger, much stronger with my boundaries, so that, and some structure, because I love structure, but Tanya knows I'm shocking. Structure is just something that I don't know how to do it. I start off and then it doesn't take me long to just swim off in another direction, which is what Pisces loves to do, or you know, go right down to the bottom of the ocean. So I'm going to embrace Saturn and learn the lessons. And with it in retrograde at the moment, it's about the inner self. So it's about, what am I going to do for me to help me move through this particular transit. And I can't remember where it's sitting in my chart. I always have to be looking at my chart to remember. So, well, actually, it's going to be over near my ascendant, and it will be in my 12th house, actually. God, I just visualized it then. And so, like, duh. And so that's going to be interesting too for me. So think about that for yourself, with like your inner structure and how you deal with it, and depending on where Pisces is placed and whether it's strong in your chart, but it'll certainly show up with this transit. So this is just looking at this now as going, okay, Julie, embrace more structure and try to stay on track with it.
If you've got like, say, your sun or your moon or things like that in Pisces, at some stage of the next couple of years, you'll have Saturn on those planets, and that can, you know, really make you feel like, you know, life is against you at times.
Yeah.
You know, you might feel like there's challenge after challenge being thrown at you, but as Julie said, Saturn is the teacher, and it gives you these things, these lessons to learn. And when you learn the lessons, Saturn rewards you. So it's like, even if life feels tough, it's like, keep moving through it and be compassionate with yourself.
Absolutely, yes.
When you're going through any difficulty in life, and and then just see what comes of it. And then it's only when you look back where you're like, oh, I get that now. It's like when I had Saturn on my sun and Pluto on my sun, like, sort of, it was a few years which it just felt really tough. And now I look back, and this was before I really understood astrology as well. So once I understood it and looked back, I was like, oh, I get it now. Like, that's
Hindsight can be a good thing, can't it? And,
yeah.
and actually, I was in conversation with a panel of women yesterday about the inner healing and how, and some people tend to have more challenges than others, and it will show up in your cosmic blueprint, your astrology, birth chart, star map, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes it can feel like, oh my God, again, another challenge. And you just feel like you're being taken down all the time. The thing is to look, like, allow yourself to work through it and do reflection and whatever works for you, whether it be journaling, meditation, EFT, absolutely, which you can go to Tanya for, and work through it, because when we're actually working through it, if we resist, it's much harder. If we allow ourselves to be able to work through it, and to be able to do that, we need to understand what's going on. Then I'm not saying it is easy. I'm saying it can be a more easeful flow through it. And then you come out and back into the light. And as Tanya said, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, I get that. And you also, it's a process of evolution for us. We're growing, and it's like, so that's what I look at when I am going through challenges. I might not like them and I'll get upset and, go down or whatever. But one thing I hold in my heart is that I know that I'm going to come out of it and I'm going to rise up, because I've allowed myself to learn. So what about Neptune? Up there in Pisces, and it's again in retrograde. So we talk about all the words: realign, reaffirm, recalibrate, reflect, which I think is one of the most important, because when we reflect, we're then able to take the steps to recalibrate.
To renew and
to renew. Absolutely. And Neptune is Pisces' natural ruler. And so again, that big dreaming, and I'm just thinking about myself, trying not to get too much caught up in the dreamy stage, and keeping on moving forward and getting really clear. So I'm kind of speaking for myself here, but I'm sure there's others that relate. So getting really clear on what it is that you perhaps want when it comes to setting goals and dreaming big. So reflect on that and get your foundations in place. Handing over to you.
Well, and also too, Neptune is the pair of Venus. So Venus, you've got love and beauty and everything else, but that's more on I don't want to use the word lower and higher plane, but I can't think of any other words to describe it. You might think of it, Julie, but Venus is like kind of the here and now, and she's a personal planet. Is what they know, but Neptune is one of the outer planets, and so it's almost like our higher consciousness and our more expansive love and more compassion and more beauty, and it's just that that next level to Venus.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And tapping into your intuition, because Pisces is highly intuitive, quite psychic. So really trusting that aspect of you. Again, it can depend on the placement and what else is going on around there. But at this time, it's perhaps if you're receiving messages from your higher self or your heart or your gut, whatever it is that you relate to, listen to them.
The actual dreams that you have at night as well.
Yes. And if you remember them, journal them, because there's often a theme in a story. We need Bethany, our dream woman, goddess, witch. Yes. So then we come up to Chiron in retrograde in Aries.
Yeah, so Chiron, it looks like a little key. And the mythology of Chiron is that it was a great healer. Chiron could heal anyone of anything, but when he himself got injured, he couldn't heal himself. So it's this sense of where we have a wound, and we help heal that wound through helping others with a similar type of situation. That's the basic premise of Chiron. So it's about healing, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, being in Aries, and Aries representing the self, it's like we are going through this inner self, reflection and healing. And I feel like a lot of people are so angry at the moment. Like there is so much anger and war and fighting and everything else.
Fear of the unknown.
Yeah, and it is this whole sense of a lot of trauma that's being created as well through all of that, and
insecurity, instability.
Yeah, so it's really looking at ourselves and what our deepest fears are and confronting them, I feel, and
doing the inner work.
And I mean, the more people who do it, the more self-compassion and love I think we will create. And I mean, that's not going to stop.
Yeah.
But then you have more compassion for others, and you go out and you help others because you filled up your cup and you're doing it from a very whole place. And it's that's where we need to be.
And again, in the retrograde, because the planets we're talking about at the minute are in retrograde, it's like really coming back to the south, and inner healing is very important. And honestly, it's not about just, there might be a wound that you recognize from within that needs healing and you think it's over. This can happen all through our life. Things keep coming up, things keep happening globally or locally. And with Aries, and be mindful of burnout as well, for yourself personally. And again, look at where it's showing up in your chart. And Aries has that passion, that drive, that motivation. They like to be right. Huh?
Do as I say. No.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do, and do it now. That's my favorite saying. So perhaps reflect that within yourself and follow that little quote, meme, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, the wounded healing. And I think that much of it is about right now, especially, is focusing on that inner healing, because when we heal ourselves, we are then more able and capable of helping to heal externally and creating that beautiful ripple effect. Because a lot of the pain and the uncertainty and instability it can be external of us, but it's so important to come back in and start with ourselves and use that passion and motivation of Aries to really bring it back home, bring it back into us to do the healing, because there is always healing to do. There's layers upon layers upon layers with us. There's
healing.
Yeah, it's generational, and it can be even and right in the now moment of what is going on. Then we come up to Jupiter. I love Jupiter in Taurus, it is. And Jupiter, I have 3 keywords that I love to use for Jupiter, and that is expansiveness, awakening, and optimism. And it's with Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus natively, and Taurus like Aries can be stubborn, but it's also, you know, they love that instability, that stability and security and pleasure and beautiful things. So for me, Jupiter's saying, if we're talking about the South, when we honor ourselves and respect ourselves and love ourselves and bring those beautiful, luscious things that Taurus loves into our life, then again, that can ripple out into those that come close to us and create that expansiveness from within, that abundance, that prosperity that Taurus can hold, and the pleasure. And I can see Tanya's thinking there. What are you going to say?
Oh, and optimism as well, because I think
Yes.
it's so easy to fall into just pessimism and feeling like everything's horrible in the world, and particularly cost of living crisis and everything else. And it's like holding that sense that it's all going to be okay. Not being a Pollyanna about it all, but just knowing, having that inner knowing that I will be okay, and good things are coming to me as well.
Yes.
And Jupiter can really help with that, particularly with an earth sign, of like creating that abundance around you and noticing where you are already abundant, of like, yeah, I've got lots of food in the fridge, and have a nice house around me, or whatever it is. I've got lots of friends, lots of love, good family. Like,
yes, be on the gratitude train, and really go.
Pick that, whatever it is for yourself, and focus on all the good and what you have. And Jupiter loves that. Venus loves that. She rules Taurus. And it is that sense of, even if you don't win Tats Lotto and win those millions of dollars, you will still feel abundant because you're recognizing what you've got in your life.
Yes, because we are abundant beings, and it is very much human nature to sit in the unhelpful and the negative, because really that's what we've had around us with media, hence why I don't watch TV or read a newspaper. So it's, tapping into that. And I see people do the eyeball roll when you talk about gratitude and things like that. But it's so important. And when you focus on these things, you can literally feel the shift or notice the shift when you start practicing this way of being. And beautifully optimistic and expansive. It's going to roll in. And especially with Uranus there too, it's like from that higher mind, and who's the rebel within you? What is the rebel doing? Is she coming out to play? What action can that rebel within you take to help you reach where you desire to be?
Well, it's like, what have you always done in the same way, because that's how you've always done it? How can you do it differently?
Change it up.
Yeah.
Change it up. And
because sometimes you do something just because it's how our parents always did it, like hanging or folding washing or this, that, and the other. And that's a really simple thing, but it's like you grow up and you're like, why do I do this way? And it's just because my parents did it that way. But there are many ways to do this thing. Or, 2 and 3 make 5, and that so does 4 plus 1. And it's different ways of doing things.
Yes. And it's breaking patterns, breaking the old patterns and cycles that are not working, to create the new ones, to bring in that optimism and abundance and expansion and transformation, and so that we can experience that beauty and all of that lusciousness, the pleasure and money that Taurus so loves. And again, look at, if you can look up Astrodensed and have a look at your chart and see where everything is sitting. Or you can come to Tanya or I, or have us both do a reading for you. And it's pretty cool when you have a double, two astrologers doing a reading for you, because you get all kinds of different it's quite powerful, isn't it?
And as you can tell, like, we come at it from different angles too. So
yes, which is awesome. And we of course are all individualistic, and one might align with you more than the other. So anyway, I'll put our contact details and that in, and yeah, feel free to share your comments. We hope that you enjoyed this. I think it's a good time to wrap up.
I just want to say, I kept expecting you to say it though, Julie, throughout this call. I don't think you did, but your word is your wand.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, when you're in this time of be careful of what you're saying, because what you say,
you create,
and particularly at this particular time of year.
Oh, yeah.
Be careful what you say, be careful what you wish for.
Absolutely. Yeah, I said it in a different way before, when I said what we think, what we feel, and what we speak, we create. But yes, your thoughts, feelings, and words are your wand. You know, like, think of Bewitched, and you're pointing your finger and you say these things. Well, you know, you're going to zap it into reality then. We're going to come back very soon, aren't we, Tanya? Here I am, like, you know, just saying, yes, we're going to do this. To talk about full moon in Taurus.
The lunar eclipse in 2 weeks' time.
The lunar eclipse coming up, which will be very good. And that's going to be very much about our feelings and the goddess and the feminine energy. And again, Venus will be dancing around as well in the background. So thank you so much.
Wrapping that up. So wrapping up that Taurus.
Yes.
Too, which is really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have something, one tip or one thing that you would like to share to close off today?
Yeah, actually, you know, we've been talking about what it's like for us, and Julie and I both feel very energized at the moment because of where it's hitting our charts, but you might not be feeling very energized, and that is okay. Like, you're not doing it wrong. It's just hitting everyone differently. But the last time we had the South Node in Libra and the North Node in Aries was 18 years ago. So the other day I was going back through, and I was living in London at the time, and I was reading emails between my friends and I, like I was sending them back home and they were writing. And that gave me a really good idea of like what I was doing in my life and the actual events that were happening, and how, you know, though the eclipses were hitting me then, and how similar things are hitting now. So if you want to know how these eclipses will, you know, help, how they'll show up for you in terms of events, or you want a tip on how you can sort of push things a little bit if you're unsure and you don't know how to look at your chart, think back to 18 years ago if you can, if you've got diaries or things like that to look at, and be like, okay, well, this is going on and this is going on. And so, yeah, I can see the similarity here, the themes playing out again in this way. So how can I work?
Oh, that's interesting, because I know exactly what was going on for me 18 years ago, and it wasn't very good. It was actually very painful and horrible. And right now it's just amazing. Although I have been through some very dark times, and my north and south node, my north node is in Libra and my south node in Aries, and I kind of quite like the opposite in it. I feel like I'm quite well balanced for a change. with the nodes, because, you know, it's the opposite, and I've got it. So I've kind of gone into it thinking, I really like this energy. I'm dancing with it. So,
but it could be that everything that you went through 18 years ago helped you become more you, and now you're just becoming even more you as well. Like that.
Absolutely. And that's what I often say, you know, and that's, you know, I talked about that in my podcast that I launched on Friday, was it? It was just a bit about my journey, so that people could understand where I'm coming from through what I've experienced in my life, and what my podcast is going to be, you know, themed around, you know, the witch wounds and witchy women, or the goddess, the priestess, the modern woman of the world, and rising unapologetically. And we've got Tanya and I talking astrology, and Bethany talking about dreams, and I've got all kinds of different people and different modalities that you can tap into and get to know. So I know that I could actually keep going again. So I'm going to say, let's yeah, absolutely. And thank you again. I love having chats with you, Tanya. I think we work pretty well as a team together, and people get to see different aspects and different energies of what the cosmos is doing, and how they can too immerse themselves in it and dance with it and see what comes up for them. All righty. Well, time to say goodbye, and we'll see you for our next cosmic update very shortly. Bye for now. I've just got to find stop record. Here it is.